Cruz versus Eduardo Ramirez. Now, this is an interesting fight. Now, look, I'll forgive you if you haven't heard the name Eduardo Ramirez before. Perfectly understandable if you're not familiar with the man's style and what he brings to the table. Look, this is his first fight at 135 pounds. He only had 2 at 130 before that. All his fights were down at 126. Okay? And he hasn't been known as this guy who's out there fighting the best in the world. Hasn't been mentioned amongst the guys who are at the top of the division. However, don't let that think that he doesn't have good skills. Don't let that lead you to believe that he's incredibly overmatched going into this fight. Okay? We talk about Cruz now and what he's able to do at 135 and the damage he's done and the good fights and all that, but let's not forget, prior to him stepping in there just 2 fights ago, we had never heard of him. Or not never heard of him, but we had never heard of him mentioned amongst the best. We had never heard of him as this guy who could go out there and blow the doors off most people and potentially get a title and do this and that. All of a sudden, he steps in there with Gervonta Davis, turns in an awesome performance, and just like that, he's put into the conversation. Just like another guy we know, Andy Ruiz, right? Comes in as a massive underdog, 25-1 to Anthony Joshua. Ends up getting that knockout victory, and just like that, your name's elevated. You don't go back to nobody. You don't go back to nothingness. You don't go back to somebody who's not talked about. Just like that, boom, you jump through, and you're now mentioned up here. That's what we saw with Cruz. And who knows? Everybody just needs an opportunity. Is this going to be the one that we see with Eduardo Ramirez? I mean, look, the guy can fight. Okay? He's crafty. He's slick. He works well behind the jab. He's big for the division. He was big down at 126. He's even going to be tall now. Cruz is small. I mean, Cruz is physically small for the division, yet at the same time, because of the power and the aggressiveness that he has, I think he's a legit 135. Right? I think he's a legit 135er in the sense that he can come in there and compete with anybody out there. But physically, he's small for the division. He's short. He doesn't have a big reach. Makes up for it in the way that he fights and his style and all that. But Ramirez, man, he was big at 126, 130. I think he's still going to be considered, pretty big when you look at his size and his height and his reach at 135. He's one of these guys that uses movement very well, understands footwork and angles and distance, but you don't see him running around the ring ever. It's like he's always within punching range, but he's never just in front of his opponent. He's always within punching range, but he's never really there to be hit. Always using these little shifts and these angles, punching behind stuff, working behind the jab, going to the body well, doing all of these little things. Understands how to fight pretty well. Okay? Perfect clash of styles. Perfect clash of styles. Because what we're going to see in Cruz is a man who's going to live up to his name of Pitbull. Dude, he's going to come forward. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to try to land hard shots. Now, he's not he is not an uneducated brawler. He's not going to come in face first, eat as many punches as you can throw in the attempt to come in and just land his left hook to the liver. He's not that basic. It's not that simple. The man's got some nuance to his game. He works well behind a jab himself, but he uses that jab differently. He's not boxing from the outside. He's using that jab to close the distance and get in there and land as many hard shots as he can. He wants to blitz across the ring, back you right up into the corner, and just beat you down with hard punches. Think about what we saw him do against Magdaleno. Right? Perfect example of what in his mind is probably a perfect performance. And the way that he's able to go over there and just crank up the intensity level and just completely overwhelm guys. So we know exactly what he's going to do. We see him in there against Gervonta Davis. We see him in there against Gamboa. We know exactly what he's going to bring to the table. Not going to be hard to find, right in front of his man, throwing hard shots. It's exactly what we're going to see in this fight with Ramirez. That's not what Ramirez wants. Look, the man's got, 27 wins with only 12 KOs? That's not a lot of power, and he's moving up in weight. What's he going to do, carry his lack of power with him? So, right? I mean, something we always talk about, right? He's going to carry his power with him. Is his power going to translate to the new division? He didn't have power in the old division. He wasn't able to score a bunch of incredible knockouts in the old division when he wasn't even fighting big-name guys. So now we've got a guy who's gone in there and ate shots from a puncher like Gervonta Davis at 135 pounds. I'm pretty sure he's not worried about what Ramirez brings to the table as far as power is concerned. So that means if he's going to win this fight, he's going to have to box from the outside. He's going to have to constantly turn Cruz. Right? As Cruz tries to come forward, he's going to have to counter him. He's going to have to step inside, cut sharp angles. He's going to have to step around him. He's going to have to constantly turn, constantly keeping his back off the ropes. Because Cruz gets you with your back against the ropes, man. He's going to come in there and he's going to work. And you can say whatever you want. You can block All of those shots with your elbows and your arms and your shoulders and you're turning, trying to get the steam off him, and that's great. You won't get knocked out doing stuff like that. But if that's your game plan, man, you are going to get beat up. It is going to hurt. Yeah, you technically block the shot with your arms, but you still absorb the punishment from that. And that's still not a scoring blow for you. You're still not winning in the judge's eyes when your back is against the ropes and you're shelled up and you're eating punches just because they didn't hit you in the liver and the ribs or right in the head and you turned a little bit of the steam off them. My point being, it's going to be a taxing fight for Ramirez because of the way that Cruz applies pressure, the way he never relents, and the way Ramirez can't afford to get caught stationary, can't afford to get caught against the ropes. And he doesn't have the power to really, make Cruz respect that distance. He doesn't have the power to keep him honest and keep him off of him. So it's going to be an uphill battle in a lot of ways. Very skilled. He's going to get a lot of shots off. He's going to be able to work behind that jab. Cruz isn't the most offensively responsible. He knows how to make some good quick movements. He knows how to work behind the jab and the way to close the distance. But really, it's not his defense that keeps guys honest. It's his offense. And it's the threat of the offense to come if you slip up one time. So Ramirez is going to have a lot of opportunities to counter. He's going to have a lot of opportunities to use that footwork. He's going to have a lot of opportunities to get his shots off. So he will. He's going to score points. He's going to look good at times. But he's not going to win this fight. Isaac Cruz is going to win this fight. He's going to find a way to come through. He's going to find a way to effectively apply that pressure. In the first round, maybe Ramirez looks great, right? Both guys are high energy. Ramirez is looking sharp. He's moving well. But what's going to happen as he starts to tire? What's going to happen as Cruz starts to land a few body shots here and there? Or maybe jumps in behind a big left hook and lands something big. Gets him in the corner. Beats him up for 15, 20 seconds. Round 2, 3, 4. That adds up. When we start to get into the middle and late rounds of this fight, those fighters aren't going to be fighting this far apart. They're going to be fighting this far apart. And as this fight gets physically closer, as it gets held at a different geographical distance, that's going to benefit Cruz all day long. He's not going to tire out. He's not going to stop throwing his shots. He's going to be able to go in there. He's going to be able to get him off. And I think that when could he stop him late? Sure. Could it go the distance? Sure. I'm not really confident in necessarily how it ends, other than to say, I think Isaac Cruz is going to get the victory in this one. Now, he's coming in as the favorite, so in that sense, it's not necessarily a big surprise. I think the big surprise when it's all said and done is going to be the skills that we see from Ramirez, right? He's going, even in a loss, in this losing effort, because of how much respect people have for Cruz, I think he's going to make a good showing of himself. I think he's currently underrated at this point only because the spotlight hasn't been shined on him. But that'll be different after this one. So let me know what you guys think. How do you think Cruz is going to look? Right, we saw the fight against Gervonta Davis. We saw the fight against Yuriorkis Gamboa. Now he goes in here against Ramirez. Let's say he gets the win. What do you expect to see from him? What are we going to be looking at next? 135 pounds, man. I mean, there's killers there. There's always talk. Big division. A lot of young guys with a lot of buzz right now. So you figure there's going to be a lot of opportunities. And then what about Ramirez? Is this going to be a way that he elevates some stuff? We start to talk about him as potentially getting bigger fights. Is he going to turn around and go into like a co-main event on a big card if he has a good showing here as another potential way to showcase his abilities? Let me know what you guys think.